Greetings and welcome back to 303 and Junior English, and we now turn to page 904, 905 in Langston Hughes' classic I, there's so many things that we could say in advance of this poem. Certainly one of the most controversial poems that Langston Hughes ever wrote. Certainly one of the most victorious poems that you will ever read as we get into it and as we study it. The challenge with reading this poem is that it requires prior knowledge to really be able to read the poem and understand what's going on in the poem. The title of the poem is simply the first two words of the first line, I, too, sing America. By the way, just to make sure you're looking at the title, that is T-O-O, not T-W-O. I also to sing America. Now, to appreciate what Langston Hughes is doing, we have to go back to an earlier time in American literary history, to the great Walt Whitman. We've already said that Whitman is an unbelievable influence in the life of Langston Hughes. What we want to do now, though, is we want to turn specifically to the very poem that Langston Hughes is referencing, right? So we're already working at level 3A, and we'll want to write this down at level 3A. And at the same time, we want to turn in our hymnals to page 435. Now, if you're working in volume 2, you're not going to be able to do this. You have to go find volume 1, okay? And what will we be doing? Well, we're going to look at a poem by the great Walt Whitman called I Hear America Singing. Now, of course, I've got a full lecture on this. You can go to learnstrong.net and you can watch it for yourself in the junior folder there. But let's go ahead and just read this poem together quickly before we turn to Langston Hughes' poem, I Too. Let's read together. I hear America singing. I'm on page 435 of your hymnal in volume 1. I hear America singing the varied carols I hear. Those of mechanics, each one singing his as it should be, blithe and strong. The carpenter singing his as he measures his plank or beam. The mason singing his as he makes ready for work or leaves off work. The boatman singing what belongs to him in his boat. The deckhand singing on the steamboat deck. The shoemaker singing as he sits on his bench. The hatter singing as he stands. The woodcutter's song. The plowboy's on his way in the morning or at noon intermission or at sundown. The delicious singing of the mother or of the young wife at work or of the girl sewing or washing. Each singing what belongs to him or her and to none else. The day what belongs to the day. At night the party of young fellows, robust, friendly, singing with open mouths their strong, melodious songs. Now that is Walt Whitman's I Hear America Singing, the varied carols I hear. And quite literally, in one of Whitman's most famous poems, he lists all the different things that make America, America, and Americans, Americans. And notice the kinds of people that he lists. They are workers, they are farmers, they are mothers. Langston Hughes read this poem as a young child, of course, in school. And he loved this poem because this poem spoke to the way in which America is more than simply a land mass. America is more than simply a document like the Declaration of Independence or the Constitution. America is Americans. Each of us constitute what is this amazing nation. But one of the things that Hughes realized when he read this poem is who is not mentioned in this famous poem, I Hear America Singing. And so Hughes sat down and wrote a very short but powerful poem. Let's read it together. I'm with you on page 905 now in your hymnal. I too sing America. I am the darker brother. They send me to eat in the kitchen when company comes, but I laugh and eat well and grow strong. Tomorrow I'll be at the table when company comes. Nobody'll dare say to me, eat in the kitchen then. Besides, They'll see how beautiful I am and be ashamed. I, too, am America. Now, this poem requires that we pay particular attention to the ways in which Hughes is going to play off of Whitman's I Hear America Singing. We notice right away that we will begin with the line, I too sing America. Let's just put it in our notes right away. This is a radical first line once you realize that what Hughes is saying is, I will rival or expand on the great Walt Whitman. By the time that Hughes is writing this poem in the 1920s, Walt Whitman's already considered America's poet. Leaves of Grass, the classic book, especially the deathbed edition of 1892, that is the poems of all poems, that is the book of poetry of all poems for Americans. And yet notice right away, Hughes is going to say, hey pal, you left something out. Let me tell you that I also will sing Americans, I too sing America, but I'm going to tell you about the one group you left out of Leaves of Grass that you didn't talk very much about. The other thing we'll point out really quickly at 2b before we even get to a close analysis of this poem is notice that the first line and the last line are not the same line. I've had readers who oftentimes will not see this initially. The first line of this poem, I too sing America, and the last line of this poem, I too am America. There's a powerful shift that's occurring in this poem, and we want to pay attention to it. Now let's just work at level 1 and make sure that we understand what actually is being said here as we summarize this poem, all right? Notice the opening line. I too sing America means, let me tell you as well about America. Let me celebrate America. Singing and celebration is huge for Walt Whitman. He loved the opera, as we've said in earlier lectures. And of course, Hughes loves music, blues, and jazz, as we've already pointed out. So we're back to the musical quality of both poets, Whitman and Hughes. But now the second stanza. I am the darker brother. They send me to eat in the kitchen when company comes. But I laugh and eat well and grow strong. Now let's just put it level 1. What you think is going on here? First of all, notice I am the darker brother. Immediately, of course, we think here of any number of kinds of possibilities. Obviously, immediately we understand that Hughes is referencing all of the black people who are living in America, who many white people have yet to fully consider Americans. Don't give them the right to vote. We will always, in every one of our Langston Hughes poems, put at 3a some reference to Martin Luther King, and especially his famous I Have a Dream speech. Because so much of what King was doing in the I Have a Dream speech is just kind of fulfilling, in many ways, the dreams of Langston Hughes. As Hughes says, I am the darker brother. The other thing we should point out here is that this also carries with it allusions that are biblical in nature. Struggles between brothers have been a foundational part of mythologies and literatures from way back when, as well as, of course, religious and sacred texts. Notice the pronouns. In line 1, it's I. In line 2, it's I am the darker brother. In line 3, it's they send me to eat in the kitchen when company comes. Now let's make sure we understand this reference. What are we talking about? In slave culture of the Deep South, there's a dark, dark irony. Slaves are allowed to make the food for the white plantations owners and slave owners, make the food, serve the food, but they are not allowed to eat the food with their white slave owners. So they have to eat not in the dining room, but rather they eat in the kitchen. It is, of course, a subjugated station, right? You're beneath. It's a status thing. That's, of course, rooted in racism. So notice, he identifies himself right away as, I am the darker brother. They send me to eat in the kitchen when company comes. But then look at the next line. But I laugh and eat well and grow strong. Now we're going to have obviously a figurative, metaphoric reading of these lines. But right away at level 1, we can just simply summarize by saying, they try and treat me like I'm nothing. They try and subjugate me. But my response is to laugh, to eat well, and to grow strong. You could make the argument here that the summary at level 1 is simply, I'm not going to let it get to me. Now, just like in the earlier poem, and we could say this as a 3A observation, we have a first person pronoun I that is speaking for an entire group. The break then and the third stanza, tomorrow I'll be at the table when company comes. So let's just pause for a moment and put it at level 1. Again, we're not yet working at level 2 about what actually does this mean. We're just trying to summarize what's going on. And he says, you know what? There's this thing called the future. That's called tomorrow. And guess what? When company comes tomorrow, I will be at the table. Whoa. Now already we have to ask it to be about tone. What is the tone that is going on in this poem? The tone here meaning the attitude of the speaker. Some have argued clearly there is defiance. There may even be rage. Right? In other words, oh really? You're going to send me to the kitchen? Guess what? There's this thing called tomorrow. I ain't going to be in no kitchen. Tomorrow, as in the future, I will be the one at the table eating. Notice at line 11, a little bit of dialect, right, going on here. Nobody'll, do you see it? Read it with me. Nobody'll dare say to me, the contraction of nobody will. Nobody'll dare, notice the use of the word dare, say to me, eat in the kitchen, and then notice the line break. Last line is one word of the third stanza. Then, in other words, there is this thing called tomorrow. And tomorrow, by tomorrow, things will have changed. And nobody will dare send me to the kitchen then. Now, what this means, we'll get to at level 2. We're just kind of working at level 1 right now. Of course, the fourth stanza is the one that created a whole lot of resentment and anger and rage, and of course pride as well. I mean, as readers today in the 21st century, looking back to a poem like this as an artifact poem, we have to be unbelievably proud as Americans that there was a poetic voice who would be willing, courageous enough to challenge opinions. Look at this next line. Besides, comma, new line. They'll see how beautiful I am and be ashamed. Dash. Now we want to point out at 2b, of course, the use of the dash here is significant. It's compelling. We've mentioned the power of the dash before in a number of our studies of poets, right? Of course, we think of Emily Dickinson and her use of the dash for emphases. At level 1, again, we're just summarizing. He says, you know what? I'm the one they send to eat in the kitchen because they don't want me eating at the main table. Tomorrow, things will change. Nobody's going to even dare to send me back to the kitchen tomorrow in the future. Besides, they'll see how beautiful I am, how amazing I am, how accomplished I am, and they'll be ashamed. Now, of course, the they takes us back to the second stanza, right? They send me to eat in the kitchen. And it didn't take much, obviously, for readers to realize that the they that's being spoken of here can easily be encoded as they whites, they empowered whites, who somehow have worked so hard to keep me subjugated for so long, to keep us subjugated for so long. when we finally have made it out of the kitchen and we're sitting at the table with everybody else, they will see how beautiful that I am or we are and be ashamed. The Black is Beautiful movement that will be a huge part of the 20th century, and the pride of skin color is in many ways born in a poem like this. But the other side, of course, is while some people are celebrating their black skin color, there will be others who will be ashamed about sending them to the kitchen to eat. We'll have to come back at level 2 to ask all about that. But before we finish at level 1, look at the final line. I, too, am America. Not I, too, sing America. I, too, am America. That is to say, I am every bit as much of America as you are. By the way, let's point out word choice, diction here. Notice it's not I too am American. Did you see this? It's I too am America. Following the notion of Whitman, Hughes is pointing out America is not a landmass. America is a people. And he says, I am a part of that people. In every way. The end of the poem. Well, let's jump to level 2. Because, I mean, you can see, this is just 18 lines long, but it is 18 lines of dynamite. And there were a lot of readers of this poem who accused Langston Hughes of trying to create some kind of controversy, some kind of negative energy. In another poem that he will write very close to this time, What Happens to a Dream Deferred, he talks about dreams deferred or not working out as exploding, and all of the kind of violence, potential violence, is somehow supposedly buried in these lines. I think there are obviously multiple readings of the poem, and we want to enjoy all of them, obviously, but one of the things, let's just point out right away, is that when you read this poem, if you understand that Hughes is now in some ways extending Walt Whitman's I Hear America Singing, then all of a sudden we got a powerful patriotic voice here at play who is speaking to both. Well, let's ask it for your notes. Who do you think the intended audience of this poem is? Who is supposed to be reading this poem? Jot down in your notes, who do you think is supposed to be reading? Who is the they in this poem? By the way, notice it's never you. Did you see this? Y-O-U is as a pronoun is absent from this poem. Which is brilliant for Langston Hughes, isn't it? Because the they and the I can then be interpreted dependent upon who you are as a reader of the poem. But let's just say it this way. If you are a racist white person who is working hard to subjugate black people, and you pick up this poem and read it, and you believe that white people are America and black people are somehow the darker, lesser brother or lesser citizen, this poem is going to be a direct attack on that idea. Let's work now at level 2A and try and understand some major messages and themes. One major message or theme is, of course, celebration. It's right there in the opening lines. I, too, sing America. I laugh, right? I am beautiful, to just invert the language of the fourth stanza. I am beautiful. I am America. Whoa. Celebration, no question. I am what I am, and I am proud of it. Don't you try and make me ashamed. It won't work tomorrow. Today it might have worked. I'm in the kitchen, but not tomorrow. Besides, there will come a time in the future, let's go to the second major theme. It's accusatory. It's accusatory. It is accusation. It is saying there's something wrong with history. For too long, we have been sent to the kitchen. For too long, we have been subjugated as the darker brother. For too long. But not for long. In the future, there will be something that's coming that will change everything. What are those types of things that are not just accusatory, but promissorial, we might say? There's a promise here that says, I can guarantee you something is coming in our future. Let's try and identify that at level 2. Notice what he says. You can send us away. You can send us to the kitchen. You can subjugate us, for example, however you wish to do that. Politically, geographically, however you want to do that. But notice he says, I laugh. In other words, I don't let it get to me. I eat well, which means I'm going to continue. I'm going to continue to work. And grow strong. In other words, our voices are not going to be repressed forever. There were a number of people who looked at this poem after the I Have a Dream speech of Martin Luther King Jr. And they began to see some kind of continuity between the second stanza and the third stanza as Martin Luther King Jr.'s speech, I Have a Dream speech, unfolded. Of course, part of this at level 2A is about the response. The response to the change. Change is coming, you might say at level 2A. I would write that one down. Change is coming. Before, we were sitting in the kitchen eating. Now, not going to be that way anymore. But with this change coming, there will be a recognition. So let's write that down. There will be a recognition of two things that are vitally important. One, aesthetics. He says it, I'm beautiful. The contributions of black Americans, he says, will someday finally be understood and appreciated. It's going to happen. It's just a matter of time. It's going to happen. He says tomorrow. It's going to happen. But then secondly, and very controversially, the ones who will no longer dare to send us to the kitchen and say, eat in the kitchen, will be ashamed with the dash. Notice this idea is not